Somewhere between the edge of being alive and feeling dead.
So last February decided to start being healthier and start to do my first elk hunt. My cousin Jason Stewart helped me out all along the way. I was 360 pounds, and today I'm 380 pounds. The first major big weight. It's awesome. Thank you guys.
Sinking in whiskey, sipping on our history. It's a whole lot worse than that. Since you went away, I got one foot in the grave. Somewhere.
Hey folks, Brian coming at you here. This video, we're going to talk about the Beast Mode Endurance Archery Challenge that is coming up on April 26th at the Tyrol Basin Ski Resort. Many of you have already signed up. Some of you have yet to sign up. You better get after it pretty quick because it's going to be here before we know it. But in this video, we're going to talk about the details of what to expect at this event. Whether if this is your first time doing the event or if you have done it in the last year or two, we're going to go over what to expect as soon as you arrive to the time that we're finished, so that we can kind of take away maybe some of the pre-event jitters, and so everybody's on the same page. So let's get after it.
Well, I said it's not the end, and I swore I'd get you back.
So when you arrive at Tyrol Basin on Saturday morning of April 26th, bright and early, because we're going to have registration check-in opening up at 6 a.m. So you have from 6 a.m. to 6:30 to come in, get checked in, get your competitor t-shirt, get your competitor number, that kind of stuff. As well, the very first arrow that you shoot is going to be at one of the Reinhardt block targets. The reason that we do that is that that arrow would dictate when you start the event, okay? If you shoot a heart on that target, you get a 5-minute bonus. So you get to start 5 minutes ahead of the official start of the event. If you shoot a lung, you start at the event time. And if you shoot a body or a miss, you get a 5-minute penalty. So you got to wait an extra 5 minutes after the official start to start. So that's how we kind of spread out the start of the event, so we don't have such a mass start with everybody going at one time. Now, also at registration time will be your time to kind of set up your base camp. We'll have a designated base camp. We're going to be close to one of the parking lots. We're not for sure if we're going to be at the Tubing Hill parking lot where we've been the last couple years and utilizing that building, or if we're going to be down by the main chalet. We really probably won't know that until the week before the event. It all kind of comes down to how much snow has melted. There's still a lot of snow there. How much snow has melted, how muddy it is, and all that kind of stuff. So I would really like to have it in a different spot since we've been in the same area for the last 2 years, but we're going to kind of wait and feel that out. And for all of you that have signed up, you start getting email notifications in terms of what to expect and things like that. So when you register during that check-in time from 6 to 6:30, okay, even until about 6:45, but by 6:45, that's when the competitor meeting starts. So we need everybody there checked in, ready to go, have your arrow shot. That's going to dictate when you start. Okay, all that needs to be done by 6:45, which is when the competitor meeting will start. We'll go over all the details and we'll have opportunities for people to ask questions and all that stuff, like last minute stuff during that competitor meeting. It'll be roughly 15-30 minutes long. And then that leaves us about 5 to 10 minutes before we actually get the event going. So it's kind of a hurry up and wait thing. So get there early. We'll have targets to shoot. If you just want to fling a few arrows, kind of get warmed up with that and making sure everything's dialed out, we'll have some targets available for that as well too. So once the event starts and you're out on the course, remember it's 8 hours long. So don't start too quick. You know, just get in a nice rhythm and get the lay of the land, especially on that first lap. It's going to be a challenging loop. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be more challenging in the last 2 years. We're for sure having Dick Dragger is going to be part of that. And we're probably going to have some new climbs in it as well. So that first lap, Don't go balls to the wall. Kind of take your time, ease into it, and get a feel for it. Now, we are going to increase from 2 targets to 3 targets per lap. So you're going to have more shooting opportunity on each lap, which also means more opportunities to do penalties if you don't shoot well. So we're for sure going to have an elk station where we'll have 2 bedded elk. We'll probably have another station where we have 2 of our mule deer, and then probably 2 deer or 2 bear. I'm not for sure yet. But they will be spread out along the course. We'll have judges at those. So the way this works, when you get to that target station, okay, you can range find, you can use your binoculars, you can use your rangefinder, and then the judge is going to call out how you shoot that target in terms of when you shoot, if you get the vitals, so on this target, okay, anything inside of the vitals is going to be a good shot. It doesn't have to be a heart shot. Anything inside of the lung line, you get a pass and you get to go on and keep doing your lap. If you get a body or a miss, that means you have a penalty to do. The penalties are going to be a sled drag for one of the targets, probably be roughly 80 pounds. The other challenge is going to be an extra hill climb. And then the new challenge is going to be a farmer carry. We're going to have some sandbags, and you're going to have to carry those sandbags X amount of distance. So those are the 3 targets and the 3 challenge stations. Judges will be there. They'll call if the arrow is in or out and give you the pass to go on or to complete the challenge. Teams. If you're on a team, the whole team has to be at the target station before your shooter can shoot the target. There's no the shooter running up, shooting the target, and the team still has yet to come, or there's no the team gets to move on while the shooter is shooting. The team has to be there for the shooter to shoot the target. Now, in terms of water and food and all that stuff on the laps, we'll probably have a water station somewhere. It'll probably actually just be at base camp. The laps aren't going to be super duper long, so you can refuel, get water, all that stuff at base camp. But really, this event is designed to test your mental and physical strength as well as your gear. Some of you are using this event, which is the beautiful thing about this event. You're using this competition to test out your gear and to get ready for the upcoming elk hunt or whatever hunt you might have coming up. So you're going to see some competitors with their full camo garb on, with, everything they're going to use for hunting. That's what they're going to be competing with, which is great. That's kind of what this event was designed for, right? But then some of you are going to be there in running shoes and shorts and a t-shirt, and you're there to crank it out and see what you can do, which is great. So we have a variety of folks, a variety of ages, a variety of abilities. So back to that point is make sure you have enough liquids, enough food, electrolytes. Last year it was in the 80s. It was our first really hot day of the year. And man, people were cramping. People were getting severely dehydrated. So make sure you're keeping an eye on the weather as that week is approaching, and be prepared for anything that Wisconsin might throw at us in the springtime. Could be snowing, it could be raining, who knows? Also, with gear selection, you might want to bring a change of boots. Some of you are going to be using just your hunting boots. Some might have trail running shoes. Some might have just hiking boots. Whatever it is, bring those, compete with them, but maybe have a backup pair. So if you do start getting a hot spot or they just don't feel comfortable after a few hours, you have something to change into. And that's totally fine. That's all okay to do. Change your socks, maybe a couple different pairs of socks. It always feels so much better. You feel almost like a new person when you can put a clean new pair of socks on. So that's something to think about. Even a change of clothes, depending on the weather. If it's hot, you're gonna be sweating through. It's nice just to have clean, dry clothes. If it's raining, stuff like that. So that's the type of stuff to think about in terms of your gear, the clothing that's on you, the food that you're intaking. probably one of the biggest tips I can give you is prevent yourself from getting dehydrated, prevent yourself from getting hot spots. So always be drinking something, always be keeping a mental tab on, oh, I have a hot spot on my toe or my heel is rubbing or this or that. Get that taken care of before it becomes a problem. So have some leukotape or some type of tape padding to have if you do start getting those hot spots or wear spots, or even on your back where your pack might be rubbing. All of that stuff. This is 8 hours that you're going for. So something's bound to probably happen or wear or feel different than what you're expecting to. So keep that in mind. So before we continue on, let's talk about the different categories. So we have the men's open, which is under 45. We have the men's masters, which is 45 and over. We have the women's division, and then we have the teams division. Men, no matter what category or what age you're in, your total pack weight is 25 pounds. Women, your total pack weight is 20 pounds. Teams, rather if you're on a team of 3 or a team of 4, it's just one category of teams, but you need at least 3 people. And your total pack weight for your total team is 100 pounds. And you can have that 100 pounds divided however you want between your teammates. For every female that's on your team, you get 5 pounds taken off of your total pack weight. So let that sink in. If you're on a team, each person doesn't have to have the same weight. The total pack weight just has to equal 100 pounds or whatever that might be, depending on how many ladies you have on your team. Now, in terms of packs, some of you might just want to have a nice simple day pack and like a whitetail pack. Okay. Pretty lightweight, pretty versatile. It doesn't take up a lot of space on your back. Okay. That's one option. Some of you might want a full frame pack. So again, depending on how or why you're doing this event, if you're doing this event to test out your gear for an elk hunt, then you probably want your elk hunting pack. Okay. If you're doing the event just to compete and be competitive and you already know your gear works, then maybe you want a smaller lightweight pack. But my hesitation with a pack like this, even though it's only 20 or 25 pounds, if you don't have a waist belt, these shoulder straps your traps are going to be pretty tired after 8 hours of competing with a pack like this. People do it, and people have no issues, but just something to think about. Now, what counts as weight in your pack? Doesn't matter. You can have sandbags, you can have gear. Again, if you want to throw in your hunting gear, I don't care what's in it, as long as it weighs the appropriate amount of weight. Okay. The water, we do allow a little leniency there of water so that we will have check-ins where we're going to be weighing your pack out on the course and at base camp throughout the day. It's not going to be every lap, but we'll have them throughout the day. And if your pack is underneath the weight, there's going to be consequences for that. I'm not going to tell you what they are. You probably don't want to know what they are, but just make sure that your pack is above that. So don't, if you have 5 pounds of water, which would be a lot of water, but some people have done it, make sure you're filling that up on a regular basis, because if we catch you under your pack weight, there'll be consequences. Optics. So highly recommend optics. They're not maybe a necessity, although last year a lot of people wish they would have had their optics with them, because you can range find the targets out on the course. Okay, you can have your binoculars. Some people are going to choose to wear their chest harness. If you choose to wear your chest harness with your binos and rangefinder, this does not count towards your pack weight. The only stuff that counts towards your pack weight is the stuff that's in your pack. If you choose to carry your bino and rangefinder in your pack, then great. Then it's going to stay in there. And then when you come to each target, you just have to take those out. So it's going to be up to you on what kind of strategy you want. If you don't want to wear this, but you still want your optics, throw it in your pack, but you're just going to have to take it in and out at the targets. Or you can wear the chest rig, but just know that's not going to count towards your pack weight. Another tool, trekking poles. Rather, if you start with these from the get-go or not, I would highly recommend having trekking poles for as the day goes on. as your legs get tired, knees get sore, and two, not knowing exactly what the terrain is going to be in terms of how muddy or slippery it's going to be. You might want to for sure have trekking poles, or at least one of them, at your base camp or in your pack in case you need them. They take a lot of pressure off of your knees going downhill. They can help, I don't know, as much as 10 to 20% going uphill, giving your legs a little bit of chance to recover. So trekking poles is something I would highly recommend having for this type of event. Your release, okay? If you don't shoot a rest rocket like what I do, it'd always be on my arm. A lot of you would take this off, especially if you have a handheld release. The last 2 years, people have forgotten their release at the target station, or it fell off their bow or whatever it is. So I bring this up specifically for that, so that you make a mental note to make sure you got your release with you somewhere. Because if you don't have it with you and you get to the next target station, you're going to have to perform the penalty. Okay. It's going to act as if you missed the target, and then you're going to have to figure out where your release is. Okay. So that's something, just little things like this that as you get tired, you might forget, at the target station, you might be getting dressed or, throwing your pack back on. You set this down, you just forget. Okay. It's a long day. You're going to be making some brain farts out there. So this is something I've seen in the last 2 years. People will forget or they lose it or whatever the case is. So make sure you know where your release is. Back to the team, something I forgot to mention. And you probably already know this, but only one team member has to be able to shoot a bow. So you could have, and I know there's a team out there, only one person is in the bow hunting, but the other 3 are in the hiking and all that stuff, which is great. That's what this event's for, is to get more people involved. So only one person on your team has to be able to shoot a bow. So that means that only one person has to carry a bow on each lap. So if you have a team of 4 and all 4 of you want to shoot, and you don't want to carry the bow all the time, maybe every lap you grab somebody else's bow and there's a designated shooter. Or since there's 3 targets on each lap, maybe you all are going to carry your bow, because again, this is an archery event and we're using it to practice and train for hunting season. So everybody carries their bow, and then you decide who's going to shoot at each given target. Totally up to you. It's totally a team thing. It's however you guys want to do that, but that's just one way to strategize on how to do the laps for that. Let's talk about your bow, your archery equipment that you need. Obviously, you need a bow. At least one person on the team, if you're doing a team, needs a bow. 3 targets, again, 3 targets on each lap. So that means you need at least 3 arrows in your quiver. You do not need your competitor number like we have in the BMAC games in the past. You don't need to mark your vein with your competitor number, because there's going to be judges there and they're going to call your arrow right away. But for those of you that have not done this, you won't get your arrow back right away. Okay, you might come up to a target and there might be 20 or 30 arrows in that. The judges will pull those arrows out when they have time, when there's a break at their station. They'll go and grab all the arrows. By the time you come around on the next lap, there'll be a pile with everybody's arrows there, so you'll be able to grab it. So why that's important is that you're going to probably want at least 3 arrows. Let's say you're doing this solo, okay, and you miss a target. They're not going to probably spend time looking for that arrow. They just won't have time to do that. Or somebody hits your arrow and it breaks a knock, or your arrow just isn't shootable, or you fall and you bust an arrow, whatever it is, okay? You're going to want more than 3 arrows, probably at least 4, maybe even 5 to be on the safe side. And maybe have a few more back at base camp, so that if something does happen, you have some backup arrows. So I just wanted to make sure everybody's clear on that you need at least minimum 3 arrows. But I would be err on the safe side and have probably 4 or 5 arrows in your quiver. Hopefully your quiver can carry that. If not, stick them in your pack. But the one thing we don't allow hip quivers, for those of you that shoot a lot of 3D. It's usually a quiver that's on your belt attached to your hip. We don't allow those because the arrows they can come out very easily in an event like this. Is just not a safe thing to have. So your arrows have to be either on your quiver on your bow or securely attached to in a pocket in your backpack. So that's how we want you to carry your arrows. Now, in terms of how you carry your bow, that's totally up to you. Some folks are going to attach it to their backpack. Some folks are just going to carry it the entire time. Some have slings. However you want to do it, that's totally up to you, right? In terms of how you want to be efficient with that. In terms of yardage, okay, I've had a lot of questions in regards to how far the targets are going to be. Don't worry. It's not going to be like our big 3D events where we have 100+ yard shots. The max distance for this is going to be 60 yards. Don't expect anything further than 60 yards, okay? We want to keep it realistic in terms of a hunting scenario. So the max that you will encounter will be 60 yards. So no pressure on that in terms of shooting long shots. So at the end of each lap, you'll come through base camp area and then you would check in with the timer. It's critical you do that so that we can count your laps. In the past couple of years, we've done this via a computer with electronic timing. And this year, we're not going to do that. It's just not worth the added expense on our end to do that for a smaller event like this. So we're going to have probably a big whiteboard or some kind of board where we're going to keep track of the times. That way it's also easier for the competitors to come through and see where everybody's at. It's going to be a larger visual instead of looking maybe on your phone. We're keeping track of live times or on the TV that was inside the building. So we're going to have some type of large board where you're going to be able to keep track of that and see where you're at in terms of, your fellow participants. When you come through or when you finish your lap, that's the first thing you're going to want to do is that you're going to want to come through, get your lap checked in so we get your time. And then it's going to be up to you if you want to go out and do another lap right away, or if you need to take a break, if you need to do something with your gear or have lunch, whatever that might be. All that's going to be close because remember, base camp, we're going to try to have it close, if not in one of the parking lots, so that your vehicle could even be your base camp where you go back to fill up with water, get your food, get your snacks, stuff like that. We're going to try to have it so that it's all very close there so that it's efficient, so that if you do decide to do that, you're not going a long ways from where you're going to be getting back out on the course. So that's how that's going to happen for each lap, especially for those of you that this is new to you, is that you come through, check in for your time, so you record your lap, and then it's up to you if you want to go out or do anything like with your pack. Now, we are going to have a corral there that your pack stays in if you have to go to the bathroom or, again, do whatever. And then if you do have to take your pack because you're going to redo something, then we need to weigh it. One of the judges will be there to weigh that pack when you come back to make sure that everything's legit with the weight and stuff like that. So that's how kind of the laps work and what to do when you come through for each lap. So now let's talk about how the event finishes. So it's an 8-hour challenge. So technically, if you complete your last lap before the 8 hours, technically at the DNF. So what that means is that your last lap needs to finish after the 8 hours. So in previous years, we'll have a group of people, because they don't want to go out and do another lap, we'll have a group of people hanging out before the start finish so that your last lap will be recorded after the 8 hours is up. So it's wholly up to you. And it might be a game time decision that it's, we're 7 hours and 15 minutes into it, and let's say a lap has been taking you an hour. Do you want to go out and do another lap, or do you want to hang out, or are you just beat down and you just want to hang out there? That's going to be up to you. We also have competitors that are really competing against us, and it's a close race, and they're racing to get back so that they can get back out, right before time ends, so they can get another lap and get a lap ahead of the competitors. So it's kind of might be a little confusing for those of you that have never done an event like this, but your last lap has to be recorded after the 8 hours. So let's say, for whatever reason, you get 6 hours into it and you're just like, I'm done. Well, you can be done, but if you don't want to DNF, you need to get back out and do that last lap. So you're finished after the 8 hours is up, after the event is over. So we are going to stick to the schedule. So 7:30 is the official start. So that means at 3:30 is when we are officially done, or when the race is going to be over. So after 3:30 is when you can check in on your last lap. So after you're done, you can hang out, get some drinks, all that stuff. By 5 o'clock, we'll have the meal. Your registration fee includes a meal. And if you are bringing friends or family or guests and they want a meal, make sure you get on. Or if you haven't already, purchased an extra meal ticket for them so we know how many meals to have. We're probably going to have a Mexican meal like we did last year. Some of you said it was the best meal you ever had. I don't know if it's because the food was actually really good, or you just spent 8 or 9 hours on the hill exerting yourself. So it'll probably be something similar to that. So at 5 o'clock, by 5 o'clock, we hope to be serving the meal. And then we'll have the award ceremony during that time, or when everybody's about finished up from eating and stuff like that. So the award ceremony would be probably 5 o'clock or a little bit after. We'll probably have, depending if we're at the tubing hill where we have been the last couple of years, or in the main chalet, we'll probably, Tyrol will probably stay open for a while, serving drinks and food and all that kind of good stuff. And then there is camping available for those of you that want to hang out and camp out. We'll be camped there both Friday and Saturday night. So I know many of you are camping there. Space is limited. So again, if you want to do that and you didn't do that, go on your registration. In your confirmation email, there's a little button that says manage your registration. Okay. You can click on that, and that's where you can purchase extra meal tickets. You can reserve your camping. You can change your registration. Let's say you're doing it solo and now you want to do it as a team. You can make all those alterations. We just ask that you do that by the weekend before. So it's coming up pretty quick. So by the weekend before, that way we know how to plan and kind of who's coming or how many people we have in each category, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what to expect after the event, how the event finishes. And again, we'll go over all this detail during the competitor meeting. But in the meantime, if you do have questions or concerns or whatever it might be, feel free to reach out to me. Email me at beastmodearchery@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. So with that said, I hope you guys are getting after it, getting your hiking in, testing out your gear, testing out the food, shooting your bow. Yeah, that's probably one of the most important things, to make sure you're shooting your bow. I might do another video here in the next week or so giving you tips on nutrition, because that is critical in terms of how you're hydrating, in terms of how you're eating. The number one tip I can give you right now, though, is don't test things day of that you haven't tested before. Okay, you just don't know how your body is going to react to certain foods, especially if you're not used to having these little goo packets or whatever it might be. Okay, make sure you try some of that beforehand to make sure your guts can handle that. You definitely don't want to be out on the event and something just isn't agreeing with you. That would be miserable. So make sure you test out, just like you test out your gear, just like you're practicing shooting your bow, all that stuff. Make sure you're trying to test out some of the foods that you're planning on eating throughout the competition. So hope you're doing well, and we look forward to seeing you soon.